And now for a new edition of decks that you shouldn't play if you want to make friends. No, really, you like, no. Hi, it's your local dragon lady here with a double feature deck profile involving Mystic Mine, everyone's favorite card. Yay! I have admitted that I do play Mystic Mine, and when I say play, I mean like 5 times, and like the first time I don't think really counted because the deck technically wasn't really finished yet. But I made 2 versions of these. One is the traditional chain burn version, and the other one I built for my husband because he enjoys decking people out. And he wondered, like, can it be done with Mixed-Up Mind? So I did, and sure enough. So I also built a mill deck that involves this card. So this is gonna be a double feature. I'm gonna do 2 deck profiles. It's gonna be one Mystic Burn, and next is Mystic Mill. So you want to jump ahead to the next profile. Go to this time code, and without further ado, let's get to this delightful profile here. For your monsters, you're only going to have one, that is Lilith, Lady of the Laminates. And as a rule of thumb with Mystic Mind decks, you don't want to have any monsters on your side of field, which makes this monster really great because her effect is once you normal summon, you can do a quick effect, tribute her to search 3 normal traps in your deck. And one is randomly selected and you set it, and the others are shuffled to the deck. So she is essential. For magic, you have your main attraction, 3 Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is not a card you'll want in your hand at all. It's much more effective when it's activated from your deck to your field. And of course, Mystic Mine is a deck that you should play going first because it's all trap based. And of course, today's format is negate board effects, break my board. So if you're going second and it's in your hand, odds are your opponent will have a way to negate it once you do activate it. So yes, if you do win the dice roll, try to go first. Draw power, there's a lot. We have 2 Ledger of Ledgerment. I tried 3. 2 seems to be the best. Once you activate, all you do is you banish the top 3 cards of your deck face down, and on your third standby phase, they go to your hand. So there's really no backdraw to this. It served me very well. Next, we have 3 cards of Demise. Very, very effective card. You have to be careful with using this one because remember, you draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, so it's most effective if you have nothing in your hand, if everything is set. But you don't want to have too many cards set either when you activate this, because if your back row is full, even if you draw really good cards, they have to be ditched at your end phase. So fantastic draw power, but use it strategically. 3 points of duality, there is no drawbacks to this card whatsoever. You won't be doing any special summoning, so you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck and you pick one. So it just allows you to dig deeper into your deck to get what you need. 3 pots of extravagance. Ta-da! I finally have 3 of them, yes! How did you get this? Holy frick! You can get away with 2. I was playing with 2 for the longest time and it served me well, but as always with decks like this, if you have 3, definitely use 3. 2 Goddesses of the Oracle. This basically gives you protection from back row destruction cards or any destruction card in general, like Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters is a primary card that can get rid of your Mystic Mine and is what most people use, but even others like Cosmic Cyclone, that can get rid of it. So when you have her activated, each of your standby phases, you just look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, rearrange them, and this is incredibly mean. I must say this. It doesn't have to be in this deck, it can be any deck, because if you look at the top 3 cards, if there's a card that you do not want them to draw in the next phase, just put it right at the bottom. And how many times have I done this, that when I look at the top 3 cards, they had a back row destruction card, I just put it at the bottom, and it's very, very irritating. 3 Demise of the Land, very, very good card. I almost like this card better than the Metaverse, but the reason why Metaverse was so busted in the last format is simply because you can use Lilith to search it where it's a normal trap, but you know, this is August ban list, so you can only have 1. But Demise of the Land is still extremely well. You set it on your turn. As soon as your opponent special summons a monster, that's it. You activate this, and you activate a field card from your deck to your well, to your field. And what makes this so strong is demise of the land cannot be ashed. Metaverse can. So that's why if I had to pick a favorite out of two, I edge toward demise of the land. The only downside is you cannot search this. So it is something you need to draw into. Last but not least, for Magic, we have Wave Motion Cannon. If you have three, try to play 2 or 3. I only have one of these, and it comes up fairly often, surprisingly enough. It's fairly easy to draw into even just one because of the draw power this deck has. But if you have more than one, I definitely recommend it, because once you get the Mystic Mind combo out and you have this set, you just keep putting counters on it, and it doesn't matter if they only have 1,000 life points left or they have 8,000. As long as you reach that number, just remove the counters, ditch it, and bam, you just go in for the game. For traps, we have the typical. We have 3 Ojama trios, and you know what this does. You set it, and as soon as your opponent's turn, you put 3 tokens on their side of the field, and you can activate another card like Metaverse or Demise of the Land once they start summoning something, and put Mystic Mind on the field. So basically, as long as they have a monster and you don't, unless they can get rid of that Mystic Mind, there's really nothing your opponent can do. 2 Ojama Duo. I tried with 3 of them, but 2 is a good enough. You don't want to have too many Ojama trap cards in your deck because it can't get cloggy. So I think 5 Ojama trap cards is a good number. It increases your chances of drawing into it. And they're also normal traps. So in the worst case scenario, if you have everything you need except Ojama, you can use Lilith to search it and have one set. One Metaverse, that's all we're allowed now, and very understandable. Field cards are so strong now depending on which deck you play. So I really do agree with this hit. But of course, with Demise of the Land, I like that a little bit better. Metaverse, if you really want to chance it, I don't recommend it, but if you're in a tight bind, you can use Lilith to search it and just rely on luck to, for your opponent to pick this one. And you know what, it has happened to me before. It has. So you really need to rely on drawing into this, or again, if you want to chance it, you can use Lilith to have this as one of the random picks for your opponent to choose. To protect your Mystic Mind from getting popped, you're going to want 3 Dark Brood. Them drawing a card isn't that big a deal, especially if you have the Goddess Oracle on your side of the field already activated. You know, if you put Twin Twister to the bottom of the pile, them drawing one card won't be that big a deal. And 2 Dark Sacrifice. If you have a third one, you can go for it, but again, I think 5 negates to protect your Mystic Mind is good enough. Dark Sacrifice is amazing, and it doesn't have to be targeting 2 or more, because there are other cards that you can use to protect your Mystic Mind, like the Huge Revolution is over in Starlight Road, because as we know, Twin Twisters is the most common way to destroy Mystic Mind, which is still good. You know, you can still use those cards. But Dark Sacrifice is super good in this deck because it doesn't matter how many cards I target. When your opponent activates a card or effect that will destroy a card on the field, so it doesn't have to be Mystic Mind, it could be anything you have. You just activate this, you will negate the effect, and you have to send 1 level 3 or lower dark monster from your deck to graveyard, which is easy because, hey, we got Lilith. So that's why Dark Sacrifice works so well in this deck. And for the burn, we have our favorite, Just Desserts. I rarely bumped it into Ultra. It's fun, and it's great with the Ojama cards because you're just putting more monsters on the side of the field. Flip this up, and you're going to get more burn damage. Secret Barrel is another good one. 200 damage for each card they have in their hand and on their side of the field. So I love it. And 2 Secret Blasts. I don't know why, I only have 2. If I had a third one, I would put it in there. It's really great as a distraction because you can have a set face down, and your opponent is now going to try to get rid of Mystic Mind. They're going to want to get rid of some of these burn cards because they know they're in for it. So if they were to destroy this, right, you're going to inflict 1,000 damage to them directly. But if they don't, you know, just flip it. It's 300 damage for each card that they control. So with today's format of Link monsters, you know, full field, that can be pretty decent, I must say. And for your extra deck, nothing really, just jank. All it is just foil for your Pop Extravagance to ditch and draw more cards. So if you're just curious, this is what I put in there. It really doesn't matter, just as long as they're tournament legal, and make sure you don't have any more than 3 of each one. So that's all the extra deck is for, and this is Pinkie Pie. So when it comes to my Lemonade series of deck, the Mystic Burn is my pink lemonade. My Nurse Burn is Purple Lemonade, so it just makes the taste all that more bitter if anyone were to go against these. Okay, time for profile number 2, the Mystic Mill deck. The whole point of this deck is to set traps to mill as many cards from your opponent's deck as possible to deck them out. The whole point of Mystic Mine in this one is really to offer you a form of defense and a form of distraction, because as always, once the Mystic Mine is up, your opponent is mostly focused on trying to get rid of it by drawing into cards that can destroy it, and it just buys you time to keep drawing into cards to set traps and deck them out. Now, I only played this deck once on my locals, and the most I've been able to mill at one point was 30 cards, so that's like over 90% of my opponent's deck, so they couldn't do much. When my husband played it, he enjoyed it. He tried making his own tweaks to it, but I tweaked the deck back to the way I have it, or improvements that I'll make to it. So here we go. For monsters, once again, you only want one, just Lilith, Lady of the Lament. Rule of thumb is you don't want to have any monsters on your side of the field, because if you do, your opponent can just link off to get one on their side of the field, and therefore Mystic Mine gets destroyed in the end phase. And the core sheet just allows you to search any 3 normal traps, and one is randomly picked. You put on your side of the field, and this is great for any of the mill. I mean, some people try to get for Metaverse, but hey, we can have one now. You can chance it if you like, but I always use this to search for like one of the mill cards to deck them out even faster. For magic, once again, Mystic Mine, yes. Once again, you do not want to see this in your hand. It always works best when you get it from the deck to the field using card effects. I've had it one time in my hand, and on rare occasions it does work. If your opponent has a field set up that doesn't have any negate effects, yes, it will work from your hand to the field, but trust me, with today's format, that does not happen very often. 3 Demise of the Land. As always, the whole point is to set it. Once your opponent special summons a monster, you activate a field card from your deck to your field. Cannot be ashed. Insane. If Metaverse got hit, I'm surprised that this one did not get hit, because yes, it has to add a bonus, but at the same time though, it cannot be searched. Metaverse could, so I guess that explains why Metaverse was one that got hit, but depending the way the format goes, it would not surprise me if this got hit in one shape or form, because field cards today, man, like they've just been getting crazy. For your draw power, for your positive extravagance, your extra deck is nothing but jank, so you're just discarding whatever to draw 2 cards. 3 cards of Demise. You need to be very careful and strategic with using this one. It's always most effective if you have nothing in your hand, drawing you have 3 cards, but at the same time you don't want to use it if your back row is mostly full, because if you draw wonderful cards, you won't be able to set them. They have to be ditched in your end phase, so again, really, really good draw card, but be careful on how you use it. 3 Passive Duality. You won't be doing any special summoning at all, so that's why there's no drawbacks to this at all. It just allows you to dig deeper into your deck. Just excavate top 3 cards, pick one. So it just, yeah, no reason not to use it. 2 Cup of Ace. This is really good for this deck because there's no drawback. You flip a coin, so it could be either your opponent draws 2 cards, which is great because that's more milling opportunity, or you can just draw 2 cards yourself. And again, no drawbacks to that because it gives you more opportunity to dig deeper into your deck and set more traps. So yes, if you can use 3, try and use 3, but so far 2 seems to be good because you don't want your hand to get too cloggy. 1 Day Apiece. If you were to replace 1 card, it might be this one. It's really good as a defense. I mean, both you and your opponent draw a card, so again, more milling opportunities. You draw a card and there is no damage in case you don't have anything to work with. But you know, if you really love the Cup of Ace idea, I recommend replacing this card with Cup of Ace. But so far, this has been working pretty well. 2 Goddesses with Skilled Oracle. Pretty standard at this point. It's a form of defense to keep your Mystic Mine on the field. So, like in my last profile, all you gotta do is activate this. You stand by phase, you take a look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, and if you see anything there that's a threat to your back row or Mystic Mine, just put it at the bottom of the pile. But this can be tricky though, because remember, you're trying to get your opponent to draw cards. So don't really use this on a whim. You can even reduce it to 1 if you like, but when it comes to milling, the best strategy is to get Mystic Mine up for defense. Get as many trap cards as you can to mill your opponent all in one shot or as few turns as possible. So at the right moment, this card is really good, but because we're trying to get your opponent to draw cards, be careful. Don't use this effect if you're going to be using like the Gift of Greed or Cup of Ace, because there is a chance that they will draw into Twin Twisters. 2 Boogie Traps. This card is far better than what people give it credit for. It's really good in trap decks in general. I have added it to my Nurse Burn deck, but all this really does is you discard 2 cards, target 1 trap in your graveyard, set it and activate it at the same time. And the best thing is you don't have to discard just random 2 cards to get the trap. The trap that you want to use doesn't even have to be in the grave, it can be in your hand, just as long as you have 2 cards for cost. So you activate Boogie Trap, say you have Trickstar Reincarnation in your hand, ditch that to the grave and make that into a target to set to the grave, activate it. So if your opponent doesn't have very many cards left in their deck, or you suspect them having something very problematic in their hand with a banish, that's what you do. So activate Boogie Trap, send the trap that you want to the grave, bring it back, activate it. But naturally, that doesn't happen all the time. If there's a trap that's already in the grave that was sent through a previous turn, just use Boogie Trap, draw cards, ditch them, bring that trap back, and finish off the game if they don't have very many cards. Okay, for traps, your standard for Mystic Mine, Ojama Trios, and I like to add Ojama Duos. 5 cards, just increases your odds of opening up with these, and of course you get another card that can activate Mystic Mine from your deck to your field. So again, always best going first. You activate an Ojama, that puts monsters on the side of the field, and bam, you activate your Mystic Mine from the deck if possible, maybe on their turn or standby phase with Demise of the Land or Metaverse if you already have it set. And after that, there's not much you can do. As long as you don't have a monster on your side of the field, then they have to focus on getting rid of Mystic Mine to continue playing. 1 Metaverse, we're only allowed to have 1, obviously. So same idea, you most likely you're going to end up hard drawing into this one. That's the only downside. It can be ashed if you activate it because it has the option to add to your hand or set to the field. Will activate to the field. But I mean, if you want to chance it, you can use Lilith to have this as one of the traps you want to select for a random for your opponent to randomly select. I've been in a bind, I've done this, and sometimes like it has paid off. I mean, luck was on my side and they did pick it, but it's not that often. Wouldn't overly recommend it as a search option for Lilith, but if, you know, it depends on the situation. So, you know, if you think you need to do it, go for it. To protect your Mystic Mine, 3 Dark Bribes. It works really well in Mystic Mill because they're going to be drawing a card, which is really what you want them to do to get more cards in their hand. And 2 Dark Sacrifice, same thing in the Mystic Burn. This will negate any card effect that would destroy a card or cards on the field. So you activate this, send a Lilith from your deck to your grave, and there you go, your Mystic Mine is safe. Okay, for milling, this is where the real fun is. The 3, the Gift of Greeds. So you activate this, your opponent has to draw 2 cards. You want 3 present cards. You can only use 1 per turn, so be careful with this one. Basically, your opponent discards their entire hand and they would draw 5 cards. Doesn't matter, even if they only have 1 card in their hand, it has to be discarded and they draw 5. And Trickstar Reincarnation, this is the most deadly one. They banish their entire hand, and if they do, they draw the same number of cards. So this is where the whole milling carnage occurs. If you activate these in the same or in the proper order, you can end up milling like 30 cards from your deck, from your opponent's deck, and that is crazy. The most common way I've done it is if I have 2 Trickstar Reincarnations and 2 the Gift of Greeds. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to activate your reincarnation first, chain link into reincarnation, chain link into the Gift of Greed, and chain link into another Gift of Greed. So say, for example, I went first. I happen to have these on my field, which has happened. Trust me, it's happened. With your draw power, it's not as hard as you might think. So when my opponent draws a card, they have 6 cards. So if you go through a chain link, what will happen is they'll have 4 additional cards into their hand. They will have to discard, banish the whole thing, draw the same amount, banish the whole thing, draw the same amount, banish the whole thing, and draw the same amount. So most of their deck is gone. They're not going to be able to do much whatsoever. And if you have Mystic Mine activated with Ojamas from the side of the field, again, that's mostly served as stall until you can get cards like these set, and you can have multiple cards set, activate them, and you just mill. And of course, opponents are going to side to get rid of your Mystic Mine. So 9 times out of 10, you'll end up destroying, well, having to discard or banish the cards they need to deal with it. So that's what makes this deck so devastating. It just depletes their resources to do anything. So yes, loads of fun for the whole family. Okay, so I might as well address the elephant in the room here. There's one card that I'm sure all of you are shouting at the screen. Hey, there's one card you need to include. Every mill deck should have it. It's so useful. It's off the ban list. Well, okay. Yes, I know. Card destruction. I know all about this. And okay, I did have it in the original build while I was testing this out, but I took it out, and I'm going to explain why here now. Why I don't use card destruction. Reason number one, it's a one-off. It's not searchable, so you have to draw into this. Now I know with the draw power I have, you think, oh hey, you're going to draw into this card, which is true. You can draw into it, but here's the problem. It's too situational for my tastes, and each time I actually did have it in my hand, it didn't really fit the situation. I didn't really have much to add to my opponent's hand and to activate this so they, discard the whole hand and they draw the same amount. But at the same time, you got to worry about your own hand. If you have good cards in your hand and your back row is full of traps, you don't really want to discard your hand to draw more. This deck really is the kind that almost every card is important, which is why draw power is the key word here, not getting rid of things from your hand to draw more cards. So that's why in Mystic Mill, I'm not a fan of this card at all. Too situational, and I find the benefits, they're not that great. The drawbacks outweigh the benefits that this card can offer. So if you want to give it a shot, go right ahead. But in my opinion, not the best thing in Mystic Mill. That's why I took it out. But hey, everyone has their own taste. So if you like it, definitely give it a shot. And once again, for the extra deck, it's just jank. So when it comes to my Lemonade series of annoying decks, this is Blue Lemonade. And it's the same thing as every other extra deck I have. Just make sure the card is legal. Don't have any more than 3. It's just fodder for your pop extravagance to draw more cards. And yeah, that's all you need for your for your extra deck to help you draw power. And that, my dragons, is my double profile feature of Mystic Mine. Again, it's not a deck to make friends with. You will infuriate your opponent with it. Now, me being a fan of Mystic Mine, I mean, I have had it used against me, and my reaction was to high five. I mean, that's just the kind of person I am. But hey, if you really don't care what other duelists think about what you're playing, these may be for you. I was very surprised that Mystic Mine did not get a hit in the last ban list, but hey, who knows? With field cards getting stronger and stronger these days, you never know, it just might get a hit. But anyway, it doesn't matter what deck you play, whether it be Mystic Mine, negate boards, break my boards. Just remember, overall, be a good sport, play the game, not the fame. See ya. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe and be sure to click on the bell for notifications. You can also check me out on Facebook. The link is in the description below. Happy dueling! Flying overhead is the FU plane, the FU plane. As always, I have to wait for the FU plane to go.